So everyone, thank you so much for coming to Coverings 2019. We are happy to be here. We're right over there if you don't see our big booth. But we are here to introduce to you a new product. Let me introduce myself. My name is Elvis Torres. I am the product manager for the concrete remediation division of LATICRETE, pardon me. And that entails all of the self-leveling underlayments, all of the primers, and also the super cap business. So, and I'm here with Alejandro. He is the Florida rep, and anything with self-leveling underlayments, coatings, he's your man in Florida. And I'm here with Jules as well. He's from technical service, and he does all of our trainings. He's the manager for technical service. So, let me begin to talk to you about a new product, our Vapor Band Primer ER. It is a phenomenal new product which is coming out in the 19th of this month, actually. Brand new product. It's an easy two-pail product. You dump the A into the B and mix for 2 minutes and you're good to go. So, phenomenal product. What it eliminates is an extra step when you're applying a self-leveling underlayment to a floor. So, typically in the industry, right now, most of the recommendations are either two different steps. Either you apply your moisture barrier to the floor, and then you broadcast aggregate into it until it's fully rejected, and then you come back, pick up the sand, but the problem with that is that it includes extra labor of applying the sand, of picking up the sand, and then the dust is a big OSHA issue nowadays in the industry. Our other one is, the other application is applying the moisture barrier and then using a primer on top of it. But again, you have the issue of extra labor of applying the primer and the extra added cost of the primer. So both expensive steps. There are different ways, different systems in the industry applying the product, the same product twice, so on and so forth, but there's never been a true answer to applying a self-leveling underlayment to the floor and then applying a moisture barrier to the floor and then applying a self-leveling underlayment right after. It's always a multi-step process. So what the Vapor Band Primer ER does is that it does it all in one step. So you apply this product down to the floor at 16 mils. As soon as it cures, which is about 3 to 4 hours, you're able to apply the self-leveling underlayment right on top. So no need for that added step. You save a lot of labor, a lot of time, and also product, buying the product and everything like that. So it is ASTM 3010 approved, so it can resist, it does less than 1 perm, and also it can resist up to 25 pounds in the calcium chloride test. So both extremely difficult applications to be through. It can go also onto a substrate which is 100% relative humidity. So extremely aggressive, especially down here in Florida. It's been a product that we have been able to promote and sell, and it's been really, really good for us. So I'm going to hand it over to my teammates here who are going to show you the proper way of how to install Vapor Band Primer ER, which is extremely easy.
Thank you, Elvis. So again, my name is Jill. I work for the Tech Services Department here, and I will be with Alejandro demonstrating some of the tools and some of the technique for the installation of this material. So just like any underlayment material, you have to have a proper substrate before the installation goes on. You want to have a clean, sound substrate. More importantly, you want to have some kind of profile to it. So you want to have a concrete surface profile of 3 to 5, which is not too aggressive, but aggressive enough that you're probably going to need some kind of mechanical grinding or shot blasting to get to that point. Some of the installation tools that we're going to be using, or at least showing you, we're not, because of the scale, we actually can't really use these tools. But you're going to be installing or pushing the materials with a broom or with a notch squeegee. This is only to spread the material. This is a two-phase installation where one gentleman will be spreading the material, and right behind that guy, we're going to have a back roller. This is epoxy, so this is a fast curing material. You want to get all the material on the floor as soon as you can, and then you want to start rocking and rolling right away. So he's demonstrating right now just pouring the ribbons and spreading the material with the nut squeegee. And in a second, we'll start mixing and actually applying material to these boards.
Elvis.
After this phase, a gentleman would start to go with the back roller. Whatever direction you're doing the squeegee work in, you're going to back roll in a perpendicular fashion. So you want to have that crisscross pattern to make sure you got full coverage and a nice spread of the material. So usually we'd be using an 18-inch roller on these roller frames. Just because of the scale of demonstration here, we're just going to use a regular 9-inch roller. The mixing itself is basically by volume. So it's a 2 to 3 by volume. Again, it is epoxy, so the product will heat up in the bucket. So typically when we do this, we mix it in full pails. These are metal pails so that the heat from the material itself doesn't melt the plastic. Again, for demonstration purposes, we're doing it on a smaller scale. So as soon as we're done here, we're just going to pull this entire material out on the floor. You don't want this material cooking in your bucket because it's going to go bad pretty quickly.
How does this dry compare to normal mitigation?
I'm sorry?
How fast does this dry compared to a typical mitigation system?
This is very quick cure. So this, I think, cures in 4 hours at 70 degrees. So again, this is a type of products where typically you'd have to wait a full 12 hours. Here, you're only waiting about 4 hours. So fast turnaround, and then you can install your underlayment much quicker than you typically would with a regular epoxy priming. So all this is just mixing it with a simple paint paddle. And now we're just going to start spreading it. So again, because of the tools that we're using on such a small scale, Alejandro is first going to load his roller to make sure that the material doesn't just skip around, but to make sure his roller is fully loaded. So typically, too, the gentleman would be walking around on spikes. This is a very important tool to bring to these job sites. Otherwise, you're going to go through a lot of boots very quickly. And by the way, if you guys have any questions at any time, please interrupt me. I tend to ramble on quite a bit, but just raise your arm and ask any questions. Yeah. Absolutely. So the question is, can you mix the full A and B at one time? And
get it out on the ground and actually use full A and B as a full mix?
okay, yeah, good question. So the question from this gentleman is basically, if you were to mix a full unit all at once, do you have enough time to get a crew working and actually using the entire material? The answer is yes. It takes a little bit of practice at first, but once you actually have a crew that's familiar with the tools and with the installation process, it's very fast. You basically have one gentleman that's always going to be mixing. Then typically you have a runner that's going to be running the material to the installers. And then you have one guy just on the squeegee, and then 1 or 2 guys on the back rollers. So typically the squeegee guy is going to start rocking and rolling pretty fast. I mean, he's going to be walking his broom pretty quickly. Once he's up ahead about 10, 50 feet, right away the back rollers start. So it's a very fast process.
What's the yield on a full kit?
240.
240 gallons? So 240 square feet per gallon. So right here, he's back rolling at a 90-degree angle from his initial spreading. Any other questions? So this is, yes, a primer and a moisture mitigation system at the same time. So let's say you had a slab with 25 pounds per 1,000 square foot with the calcium chloride test. This will take it down to about 3 pounds. So usually this can actually go on a 100% relative humidity slab. So once you pour your slab, you can usually use this system about 4 or 5 days later. It's very quick.
I'll give you an example where this was used just a couple weeks ago. We had a fast-track project at a medical, a surgery center, a satellite surgery center, and it was a 5-phase project because they couldn't afford to shut down. So what they did was they turned the floor over 3:30 on Friday and had to be full service on Monday. This is existing sheet vinyl that's failing due to a moisture issue. Okay, so 3:30, the crew comes in, they remove everything, they diamond grind to remove any excess adhesives, and then they shot blast to have an open profile. Okay, all that takes time in the demo process. All right, so we put the vapor barrier down. 3 hours later, I can put my leveler on top of it. That's an ideal fast track project because in 16 hours later, they can start putting their sheet vinyl, start hanging their base, do their welding, and they're ready to go in that short window. Now, if we use our traditional system, our regular 8-hour cure that meets the ASTM 3010, but it's an 8 to 12-hour dry time. It's not self-priming either. So I either have to broadcast a mechanical bond into it, some silica sand, which is going to take 10 hours to dry, labor intensive to clean up, or I have to do a primer. My cost, my time, it's taking about an hour to lay it down, but it's also have to wait 4 hours before I can pour on top of it. I no longer qualify for this fast track project. I can't bid it. I don't fit that niche anymore. This product is specifically for that market. So for fast track projects, we have those short windows, and this is the only one it's a softer epoxy within 24 hours where it bites the actual cementitious. That's how it bonds, okay? Our other vapor barriers, it's a hard epoxy, it's glass, nothing will bond to it. That's the unique thing about this product. All right, so now we have an opportunity to really, to take on these challenges on fast track projects, all right? And that's a good scenario ideally where you would use this.
Any other questions? Elvis, did you want to close this out?
We are handing out literature on the VaporBand Primer ER, so please, if you want to have some information, we are definitely giving that out. And we're also giving out mill gauges out to anyone who's willing to take them. That's the item which is used to measure how thick the coating is going onto the floor. So again, this requires a 16 mil thickness, 3 to 4 hour cure. You can go on top of it with any of our LATICRETE self-leveling underlayments, even from our super cap system as well. So from our large pumping unit to 50-pound bags, we have you covered. And again, this is pretty much the quickest moisture mitigation system right now on the market. So coming out April 19th, and we look forward to talking to you guys about it. Thank you so much for being here.
One last thing, folks. You stop by our booth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of this on a board, because you really want to see it dry in 3 to 4 hours, don't you? Or otherwise you just think that it's gonna, I'm just telling you, right? So I'm gonna put something on a little sheet of paper or a little piece of this board. Come check us out in 4 hours. You're gonna see for yourself that this stuff is dry, okay? All right, have a good one. Take care.